There's something out there that people with faith believe is there. Some people call it God, some people call it other things, Buddha or Mohammed or whoever. It has convinced me there is something out there.
Interview with renowned heart surgeon Dr. Lloyd Rudy on the near-death experiences of his patients. Continue watching to learn more.
Today's program will be presented in German and English with subtitles in Arabic, Oral Systemic, also known as Vietnamese, Chinese, English, French, German, Hindi, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Mongolian, Persian, Russian, Spanish, and Thai. Hallo, weise Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauer. Ich bin Sieglinde Reichert aus Großbadorf, Deutschland. Die Menschen in unserem Land wünschen sich, dass die Liebe in ihrem Herzen auch weiterhin durch Gottes Segen wachsen wird. Heute hören wir von dem renommierten Herzchirurgen Dr. Lloyd Rudy einige Berichte über Nahtoderfahrungen. Das Interview führte Dr. Milligan, Präsident der American Academy for Oral Systemic Heath. Dr. Rudy erzählt nun von einer Begegnung mit einem Patienten, der eine orale Infektion hatte, die zu einer Nahtoderfahrung führte.
One of my junior partners was on call, and he had to do an emergency valve resection. Once we were able to accomplish the repair of the aneurysm and the replacement of the valve, we could not get the person off of the bypass. Every time the 4 or 5 liters of blood that we were pumping around his body, we would reduce down to 2 or 3, he'd begin to weaken and his blood pressure would go down and so on. And make a long story short, we simply couldn't get him off the heart-lung machine. Finally, we just had to give up. We just said, we cannot get him off of the heart-lung machine, so we're going to have to pronounce him dead. So we did that. And so the anesthesiologist turned his machine off, and the bellows that were breathing for the patient stopped. That machine was quiet. The anesthesiologist went into the surgeon's lounge. He hadn't eaten anything all day, so he went in to have a sandwich. Then the people who usually clean up the instruments and all that were coming in and taking away all these tools. And my surgical assistant closed the patient in a way that a post-mortem exam could be done, because anyone who succumbs on the table by law has to have an autopsy. So he closed him up briefly. Just a couple 3 wires here and big stitch to close his soft tissue. The assistant surgeon and I went in and took our gowns off and gloves and masks and things, and came back, and we were in our short sleeve shirts, and we were standing at the door discussing if there was anything else we could have done, any other medicines we could have given to have made this a success. And as we were standing there, it had been at least 20 minutes. You know, I don't know this exact time sequence, but it was close to 20, 25 minutes that this man recorded no heartbeat, no blood pressure, and the echo showing no movement of the heart, just sitting there. And all of a sudden we looked up, and the surgical assistant had just finished closing him, and we saw some electrical activity. And pretty soon the electrical activity turned into a heartbeat. Very slow, 30, 40 a minute.
Yeah. Why is he so bradycardic?
And we thought, well, that's kind of an agonal thing. And we see that occasionally, that the heart will continue to beat even though the patient can't generate a blood pressure or pump any blood. Well, pretty soon we look and he's actually generating a pressure. Now, we're not doing anything. I mean, the machines are all shut off, and we're stopped all the medicines and all that. So I start yelling, get anesthesia back in here, and get the nurses. And to make a very long story short, without putting him back on cardiopulmonary bypass, heart-lung machine and stuff, we started giving him some medicines, and anesthesia started giving him oxygen, and pretty soon he had a blood pressure of 80, and pretty soon a blood pressure of 100, and his heart rate was now up to 100 a minute. He recovered and had no neurologic deficit. And for the next 10 days, 2 weeks, all of us went in and were talking to him about what he experienced, if anything. And he talked about the bright light at the end of the tunnel, as I recall, and so on. But the thing that astounded me was that he described that operating room floating around and saying, I saw you and Dr. Cattaneo standing in the doorway with your arms folded talking. I didn't know where the anesthesiologist was, but he came running back in. And I saw all of these Post-its sitting on this TV screen. And what those were any call I got, the nurse would write down who called and the phone number and stick it on the monitor, and then the next Post-it would stick to that Post-it, and then I'd have a string of Post-its of phone calls I had to make. He described that. I mean, there's no way he could have described that before the operation because they didn't have any call, right?
And he's sitting on, and he's lying on the, so he must have been floating.
He was up there. He described the scene, things that there is no way he knew. I mean, he didn't wake up in the operating room and see all that. I mean, he was out, and was out for, I don't know, even a day or two while we recovered him in the intensive care unit. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Was that his soul up there? It always makes me very emotional.
Wir nehmen uns einen Moment, Gott für die Fürsorge all unsere Seelen zu danken. Wenn wir zurück sind, hören wir eine andere Geschichte von Dr. Lloyd Rudy. Bitte bleiben Sie bei Supreme Master Television. Willkommen zurück zu unserer heutigen Sendung, in der wir gerade gehört haben, was Dr. Lloyd Rudy erlebte, als er versuchte, einen Patienten wiederzubeleben. Nun erzählt uns Dr. Rudy eine andere Geschichte, wo er eine besondere Anwesenheit in seinem Operationssaal gespürt hat.
There have been other instances, like one other I remember so vividly, was a guy who was on anticoagulation, medicines that keep you from clotting. And I don't even remember the operation or whatever, but we had to do him right away. And you try and reverse that as much as possible, but it's impossible to completely do it. Right. And we were in there and we'd finished the surgery and we just simply could not stop this person from bleeding.
Right.
And we finally decided we're not going to be able to stop this bleeding.
Right.
And all of a sudden, nobody spoke. Because everybody in that room felt a presence.
Right.
And, I mean, the anesthesiologist and I talked about it afterwards. I mean, there was no question. There was a presence in that room.
Right.
And he stopped bleeding just like that.
How do you explain that? What is your take on that, Dr. Rudy?
Oh, there's something out there that, you know, people with faith believe is there. Some people call it God, some people call it other things, Buddha or Mohammed or whoever. It has convinced me there is something out there.
Something out there. It is so good of you to share this with people who don't get the opportunity to be at those near-death or post-death experiences.
I don't know. It just convinces you that the strings are being handled up here somewhere.
Absolutely.
And it makes me very emotional.
I can tell. It does me as well. And I'm so pleased that you would share this with these people in this video who just don't get that opportunity. Is there any last things that you'd like to say?
Just that I presented this case to 13 other cardiac surgeons throughout the country in a special meeting, and they had several similar experiences, not quite as dramatic as the one I had. But everybody that deals with that every day has had those experiences. So it's not just me.
Liebe Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauer, es war uns eine Ehre, Ihnen heute von den Nahtoderfahrungen, wie sie von einem Herzchirurgen beschrieben wurden, zu berichten. Wir möchten Dr. Michael Milligan dafür danken, dass er uns erlaubt hat, dieses Interview bei Supreme Master Television auszustrahlen. Zum Schluss der heutigen Sendung hören wir noch die folgenden weisen Worte unserer geliebten höchsten Meisterin Jinghai.
Master, for people who have near-death experiences, how far a level can they reach?
It depends on... Mostly they just go to the astral level. That's why they can come back. If they're far gone to the second or third level even, they cannot come back anymore. Because the astral world has a threshold between astral and this world. These are our neighbors, you see. Only people go to hell or astral heaven can come back to this world afterwards. Otherwise they cannot, okay?
Oh, yes, Master.
Yeah. So only astral heaven then. But astral heaven is very beautiful, eh? You go there and you think it's the ultimate. You never want to come back here. You never imagine that anything could be more important, more glorious, more beautiful than the astral heaven that you happen to see.
Wir danken unserer geliebten höchsten Meisterin Jinghai für die Befreiung unzähliger Seelen aus dem Kreislauf von Wiedergeburt, Altern, Krankheit und Tod und dass sie weiterhin auf ihrem Seelenweg nach Hause begleitet. Liebe Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauer, danke fürs Zuschauen heute. Als nächstes sehen Sie Sadaf Mohammed Sayed, eine tierliebe Tollywood-Schauspielerin. Teil 2 von 2. Nach bemerkenswerte Nachrichten. Mögen alle Wesen durch Gottes unermesslichen Segen Frieden und Liebe finden. Loving viewers, thank you for your company today. Coming up next is the animal-loving Tollywood actress Sadaf Mohammed Sayed, part 2 of 2, right after noteworthy news. May all beings find peace and love through God's immense blessings.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit SupremeMasterTV.com/schedule and SupremeMasterTV.com/SS.